last few days. So my name is Barbara Antonacci, for those of you who don't know me, and I am the president of the American Friends of the Father Bosch Foundation. My mission basically is to allow Father to preach the gospel and the word of the Lord while I raise awareness for Father's 20,000 orphans that he takes care of in Uganda. He has a pretty big mission, and we were talking the other day, and we were like, how does your day start, Father, and what happens? So he gets up really early and says Mass, and then by the time Mass is over, there's at least 1,000 people waiting to see him. It is pretty incredible, and I thought about my sister. She works for a doctor's office and in Florida, and she said, we have 91 patients coming in today. I'm thinking 91 patients, and she's overwhelmed with 91 patients coming in, and Father's seeing 1,000 people a day. I don't know, it just takes incredible strength and the will of the Lord to make that happen. So my goal is to, just like I said, allow him to preach, and I kind of say, I beg for the children and everything that goes on in the foundation. And I know I mentioned that we are looking for funding to buy land. And we're pretty close to getting there through the donations over the last couple of days. We have a little bit more to go, but with your support today, we will be able to buy that land that Father wants to purchase. And it makes sense to purchase land because that's a food source for them. And it's not a complete food source, but it's definitely a supplement. In addition to that, we were talking, food and school fees is American Friends of the Father Bosch Foundation's #1 priority. And when we are blessed to have additional money, then we will start to go out and do other projects. And when Father was here in October, I had mentioned that big, huge eucalyptus trees fell on several of the buildings and really crushed them. And so we were able to provide the funding to rebuild that school block. And then there was a picture, and I said to Father, I said, what is this picture? And he said, oh, that's the Blessings School for the Children, where they are educated from about kindergarten or preschool up to about 4th, 5th, 6th grade. And it was in shambles. It was an absolute mess. And I said, okay, these are the babies that have no mother and have no father. And so I said, okay, let's see what we can do. Well, we started, I would say probably back in December, and here it is May, and the buildings are completed. We hired day laborers who typically wouldn't have a job, and we're able to help support the people in Uganda by hiring those day laborers as well. So those are some of the needs that we have. A couple of other things too that we've done and we're looking to do is bathrooms, pit latrines. I mean, I had mentioned this to my group in Florida, Catholic Conference of Women, and they were like, bathrooms. We all have bathrooms around here. We didn't understand. And then Father showed me pictures of what the current situation is. It is for both boys and girls separated. It's hedges. So think of like our hedges planted, and then there's pit latrines. And then when I was talking to him, it's like, well, animals can get in there and snakes, and there's no privacy. And I'm saying, we need to build some pit latrines for boys and girls. $3,500 is what it's going to take to build one for each of them. So ultimately, that is my goal, is to try and raise awareness, because some of these simple things, mattresses in the dormitories, are $35. So any help that we can get, we really, really appreciate it. I've developed and worked on a website. It's called the American Friends of the Father Bosch Foundation. And what I like to let people know is that although I'm the president of the foundation, we are a 501c3 corporation that is recognized by the IRS, and any donations are tax deductible. So if you have any friends that have extra money, maybe you could talk to them a little bit and see what we can come up with, because somebody always knows somebody who can help. And the thing is, I don't take a salary, neither does my sister-in-law, who's actually here today. She takes care of a lot of the accounting and finance, and it's run by my husband, my mother, and father. So it's just 5 of us, and we take no funding for this, because it's not really what it's all about for us. It's about doing the service and servicing the poorest of the poor in Uganda. And I've had friends that have visited, and I lost contact with one of them after she came back. I thought, geez, is she okay? And she said, it took me 1 month to kind of come down to earth again after visiting the great number of properties and complexes that Father is working on. And it's amazing because he also has to take care of 90 different churches within his diocese. And it's endless. And there's only one way that this strength can happen, and we certainly know that the strength is coming from the Lord. So if you could always keep him in his prayers, because as much as we want prayers from him, he is always asking, please, please pray for me, because at times I'm under attack because I'm doing this ministry. And the same thing with him. He comes like, Jesus told the apostles, don't take any money with you, and just whatever people feed you at their houses and their locations. He comes exactly like Jesus described in the Bible. And, people have come up to me and asked me other questions too about the healings that are happening and taking place. Put your faith in the Lord, because I've seen miracles. I know of miracles. One of the ladies at my church in Spring Hill, Florida, was healed of a brain tumor. Another lady in my neighborhood, who I didn't know until last year, was healed of stage 4 pancreatic cancer. So there have been a great number of healings, and I'm sure everyone here can talk about different healings that they may have experienced. And we really owe all of this to Sister Margaret Catherine Sims for getting this all started, and Lyda and Tom Livingstone for bringing him here. So without them, this would not be happening. And a Ugandan lady came up to me yesterday and she said to me, she said, I'm really thankful that you bring Father to us, because without you, we don't even get to get close to him. Because when we go to Uganda, he's mobbed by people. And then he was in Zambia recently, and I said to him, Father, I said, is it really true that, people try to cut your clothes and your garments and touch you? And it only reminds me of the Bible story of the woman who was bleeding for so many years, and she just wanted to touch the cloak of his garments, and, the power went out of Jesus. So there is a tremendous amount of power that is gifted to Father Bash from the Lord. So put your faith and trust in him. And when you receive your healing, you may not know about it until you go back to your doctor. Today you may feel absolutely nothing, but then all of a sudden your doctor says, your tumor is gone. And so that's your healing. So you may be walking out of here saying, was I really healed? So I kind of think about when Jesus healed the man that was for 38 years at the pool, waiting to be healed, and he couldn't get into the pool, and all of a sudden Jesus says to him, his words were, pick up your mat and walk. Jesus said, pick up your mat and walk. Jesus didn't say, oh, by the way, come back tomorrow because maybe I didn't do a good job. So think about that. So pick up your mat and walk, and go home with the faith of healing, and claim that healing, and trust in the Lord. And always wash yourself in the most precious blood of Jesus by just saying, Jesus, I love you. Jesus, be with me. Jesus, I place my trust in you, just like we do for Divine Mercy. So we should be starting shortly, because it looks like the crowd is ending as far as coming in. And thank you so much for being here. As Father said yesterday, God called you here for a reason. Thank you.